This series of classes on the Shankaracharya Bhashyam, that is Adi Shankaracharya's commentary on the Mandukya Upanishad, with the Karika of Gaudapada, is conducted by Swami Tattwamayananda, a senior monk of the Ramakrishna Order of India, who is currently the minister in charge of the Vedanta Society of Northern California in San Francisco, which is a spiritual center that was founded by Swami Vivekananda in 1900. Swami Tattwamayananda has served at various centers of the order in India as editor and publisher and as teacher of Sanskrit and of the classical texts of the Vedanta philosophy in the light of Sri Shankaracharya's commentaries. Before coming to the United States in 2012, he was teaching at the Ramakrishna Order's monastic training center at Belur in India. The Swami received a traditional education in Sanskrit and Vedantic scriptures, as well as an excellent modern university education specializing in English literature, Western philosophy, and European history. He is frequently invited for lectures on yoga, Vedanta, and traditional Hindu scriptures. His weekly classes over a period of nearly 2 years on the Mandukya Upanishad with the Karika of Gaudapada were recorded in audio format and are now available online. The present series of classes that is begun today is intended for all those who know Sanskrit well, but who have not had a chance to study the Shastras in the traditional way under a teacher conversant with the disciplines of Nyaya, Vedanta, Vyakarana, and Mimamsa. It is actually an expanded version of the classes on the same topic that Swami Tattwamayananda gave in India during the period of 2008 to 2011, and later at the Vedanta Society of Northern California in San Francisco from April 13, 2012 to December 20, 2013 in a series of 44 lectures. It is through concentrated study for a long period of time in this way that traditional teachers have been able to preserve and transmit to future generations the wisdom inherited from their forefathers. We are honored and happy to be able to present these ancient spiritual teachings of the Mandukya Upanishad in the light of the classical commentaries in a traditional and yet modern format in this series of classes. It is fitting that this ancient scripture should be studied in this traditional way.
Bhadram karneभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः.
So you find one important point here, yajatraha, that is the subject here. Those who are involved, engaged in yajana kriya, they are called yajatraha. Those who are involved in one of the 14 yajnas or yagas, what do you call them, sapta havir yajna and sapta homa yajna. There are two types of yajana kriyas, 14 types of old Vedic rituals. So those who are involved in that ritual is called yajatra. So a person, an householder, mimamsaka, or a spiritual seeker, depending upon the context, who is engaged in some yaga, is praying for a strong body, strong mind, good health, and all appropriate situations to be conducive for the successful termination of his ritual. So that is the context. So this is found in Rig Veda, Samaveda, Taittiriya, Aranyaka, and different Vedic texts. This particular mantra is found. Now, Bhadram Karnebhi. So, Devaha Karnebhihi Vayam Bhadram Sunuyama. So, Yajatraha has got another meaning, that is called Brahmadhyana Nirataha. That is another meaning. So, two contexts are there. One context is from the standpoint of an ordinary householder who is involved, who is engaged in yajana kriya, some Vedic ritual performance of yaga, yajna, etc. So such a person will pray for health, long life, wealth, and all appropriate conditions for the successful termination of his Vedic ritual. The other meaning is, here yaga itself is taken to be just the whole life and the purpose of human life. So their yaga means spiritual endeavor. So let Brahman itself help me, bless me for attaining moksha. So these are the two meanings. Yajatraha should be understood properly. Yajatraha means a person, yajamana, those who are involved in yagas, yajnas, etc. Yajna itself means, yajna vaiseshtadamam karma, devadoddeshena drivyasityaga yajna. There are different meanings for the word yajna and yaga. So, from the standpoint of Purva Mimamsakas, it is a prayer to different deities, different Vedic deities, like you find here, for example, Vruddhas Indraha, who is called Vruddhasravaha, Pusha, Arishtanemi, Brihaspati. These are different names you find here, different Vedic deities. So Yajamana, who is engaged in Vedic yajnas and yagas, will pray to all these deities. So Bhadram Karnebhi Sunuyama. So Vayam Karnebhi Bhadram Sunuyama. Let's please bless us so that we always hear auspicious things with our ears. Bhadram Pasyema Akshabhihi Yajatraha. Yajatra is common. Vayam Yajatraha Akshabhihi Bhadram Pasyema. So again, Sthiraihi Angaihi Tushtuvamsa Sthanubhi Vyasema. So also, please give us strong physical body. Sthiraihi Angaihi means strong, well established physical body, because we are singing songs, hymns. The Samhita Patha contains a lot of hymns. Rig Veda Samhita itself almost 1067 or called suktas with about 11,000 riks. So all these mantras are used by Yajatra, Yajamana, for praising the different deities mentioned here, like Indra, Kusha, and then Brihaspati, and so on. So please bless us so that we will be able to continue and complete this yajana kriya. Again, find Vyasema Devahitam Yadayuhu. So how much life we have got, let that life be spent properly with health and success, so that we will be able to continue and complete this yajana kriya. Sustani Indra Vruddhasravaha. Indra is called. So Susti Naha, that's the meaning. So you find Swasti Naha Indro Vruddhasravaha, Swasti Naha Pusha Vishwavedaha, Swasti Naha Takshu Arishtanemihi, Swasti Naha Brihaspati. Swasti means Mangalam or auspiciousness, or maybe a good conditions in secular life, householders' life, etc. For that, they are praising Indra, Pusha, then Garuda, Brihaspati, etc. The other meaning which I mentioned earlier is when you interpret Yajatra not as a Yajamana performing a yajna, but as a spiritual seeker, the Brahma Jnana Nirataha Yajatraha. That means this is not the Mimamsa interpretation, but the same mantras, when interpreted by Advaitins or Vedantins, they will interpret differently. Even Yaga itself will be interpreted as a process of spiritual endeavor. You attain sadhana dushta sampatti, nitya nitya vastu viveka, iha mutra phalabhoga viraga, shamadhi sharka sampatti, mumukshuttum, and then sravana, manana, nididhyasana. So these are 7 disciplines which every yajatra should undertake to accomplish. So let us be blessed. Please bless us so that our study of scriptures become fruitful and take us to the ultimate spiritual destination, that is moksha. So this is the other interpretation. And there are a few words used here, for example, Devahidam, Vruddhasrava, Vishwaveda, etc. Many of these terms are used. For example, Vishwaveda, Vruddhasrava, all these are also interpreted as Brahman or Atman. So, in place of Devas like Indra, Pusha, Brihaspati, etc., the Advaitins interprets all the Deva Shabdas indicated here as Brahman. So, who is the ultimate destroyer of obstacles? Arishtanemi, it is Brahman. And who is the ultimate Vishwaveda? The one Vishwamveti, the Vishwaveda means Vishwamveti means Sarvajna, that's the meaning. Who is the Sarvajna? Brahman is the Sarvajna. And who is Vruddhasrava? The most exalted person, the most famous person, the person who has got so much Kirtiman. It is not Indra, it is Brahman. So, in place of Indra, Brihaspati, Pusha, and all other deities, Vedic deities, Advaitins puts Brahman. So, these are the 2 interpretations for these Vedic mantras. Normally, we focus on only the Mimamsa interpretation, but Advaitins will interpret in the traditional Vedantic circles where they chant this before we enter the text. They interpret this in a very Advaitic tradition. If you have got any doubt, we can ask. Anything you want to ask? Now, then we will enter the Bhashya Mangalacharana written by Shankaracharya himself. 2 slokas are there which condense the meaning and essence of the whole Mandukya Upanishad. Any doubt you have got? Everything is okay? Okay. Now we will come to the 2 slokas here. If you want me to slow down, it's okay. If you, because sometimes I may speak too fast, so I can slow down. I can bring the speed. Okay, bring down. Okay, now we are coming to the 2 slokas here. It is Gaudapada Karika. Now, maybe a few words about the text. Mandukya Upanishad has got only 12 mantras, so it is one of the shortest of the 180 Upanishads that we already know about printed form, and it is certainly the shortest of the Upanishads. Now, it is Shankaracharya has written a Bhashya. Of course, we are going to Bhashya in course of time. Bhashya itself has got certain meanings, certain traditional interpretations. Sutrartho varnideyatra vakyam sutranusaribhi sapadani cha varnande bhashyam bhashyavido viduhu. So this is the meaning of Bhashya. So sutrartho varnideyatra. So vakyam sutranusaribhi. Generally here sutra is mentioned. Sutra literally means something very short. But sutra has got its own technical meaning. That is alpaksharam asadigdam arthavas vishwato mukham astobham anavadyam cha sutram sutra vido viduhu. So any short word can be called sutra. Because when you use the word sutra in the context of Bhashya, Bhashya becomes the commentary and sutra becomes the text or the small text on which the Bhashya is written. And Bhashya explains that Vakyam Sutranusaribhihi, one after another, the Bhashya expounds the whole sutra literature. Here, the Bhashya is not on the sutra, the Bhashya is on Karika. So that is an important, and of course the Upanishad proper. Shankaracharya has written a Bhashya on Gaudapada Karika, which is itself actually a commentary on the Upanishad. So the Upanishad has got 12 mantras, and Gaudapada, who wrote a commentary on the Upanishad, has got 215 slokas. So Karika is nothing but a commentary on any text which is in metrical form, in slokas. So Karika means a commentary in slokas. Bhashya means a commentary in verse, in gadya. Sorry, not in verse, but in prose. So a commentary in prose or gadya is called Bhashya, and a commentary in verses, in slokas, in metrical form, is called a Karika. And a Vartikam is nothing but a commentary which could be either in gadya, prose, or padya, or maybe verses. It could be either. So Shankaracharya wrote a commentary on Gaudapada Karika, which is itself a commentary in verses. Total 215 slokas. That is the structure of Gaudapada's Karika. 215 slokas which expound the meaning and the essence of the whole of the Upanishad in 4 prakaranas. Bhashyakara himself will explain what are the prakaranas and why it's called prakarana. All these will be made clear in course of time at the beginning itself. So now we are entering the 2 slokas which Shankaracharya himself wrote before he actually begins his Bhashya. In fact, these 2 slokas themselves explain the whole essence of Mandukya Upanishad. So Mandukya Upanishad is completely condensed into 2 verses, into 2 slokas that Shankaracharya wrote, very slightly complex metrical form. So the first one is this. It is Bhashyakara's Mangalacharanam. He himself wrote a auspicious invocation at the very beginning. So Prajnanam Supratanehi Sthira Chara Nikara Vyapibhir Vyapyalokan Bhuktva Bhogan Sthavishtan Punarapi Dhishano Bhasidan Kamajanyan Pitva Sarvan Visheshan Subiti Madhuragun Mayaya Bhojayanno Maya Sankhya Turiyam Param Amrdam Ajam Brahma Yat Natosmi. Yat Tat Natosmi. This is the first sloka, which actually explains the whole of Mandukya Upanishad. Each of these sloka taken single will can be considered to be a condensation of the whole of Mandukya Upanishad. Now, of course, before entering the text, I shall give a brief description of the structure and the content of the Mandukya Upanishad. You know, in all these Upanishads that Shankaracharya wrote, commented, there are different prakriyas. Prakriya means a method by which the Bhashyakara, the exponent, the commentator expounds Advaita philosophy. So, in these prakriyas, there is one common approach. It's called Adhyaropa and Apavada, which will, in course of time, it becomes clear to us. So, in each of these Upanishads, there is a prakriya. In some Upanishads, there is more than one prakriya. So, Mandukya Upanishad and Mandukya Bhashya has got one prakriya. The prakriya is a method. It is called Mandukya Prakriya, in which the Bhashyakara tries to analyze the absolute reality of Brahman through this Avasthatraya Prakriya. Another term is Avasthatraya Prakriya. Avasthatraya means three avastha, Swapnavastha and Sushupti Avastha. So based on the experience of consciousness or Jiva in the triple states of waking, dream and deep sleep stage, the Bhashyakara analyzes the truth of Advaita and establishes Advaitic truth, and then there is the last, the highest stage. It is called Turiya. Now, in the Turiya itself literally means Chadurtha, but it is not really fourth coming after third, because Turiya is the transcendental state, which is really not a state. That's why it is said Maya Sankhim Turiyam Param Ajam Amritam, etc. You find in this verse, you find it is Maya Sankhim. It is not actually a numerical term. It is not actually fourth coming after first, second and third. Rather, it is called Maya Sankhya Turiyam. So in Vedanta, it is called, of course, in Vyakarana, it is called Purna Pratyayanta, this Turiya. So Turiya is not a state. Turiya is a transcendental state, which is actually present in the first, second and third. Turiya is present in the waking state, dream state and deep sleep state. But it is separate from it because it is everywhere. There is nothing other than the Turiya. So in waking state, we experience different things at the gross level, where we use mind and the senses, karmendriyas and jnanendriyas and mind. We use, and then we go through different external experiences. External means we walk, we interact with people, we speak. All these events take place at the waking state. It's called Jagrita Avastha. But that experience is, in fact, it is obstructed. It is not there when you go to dream state. So dream state is nothing but a state between waking and deep sleep. So in dream state also we experience, there is duality, there is the plurality of objects that we experience in dream state, in Swapnavastha. But it is not the same as waking state, because in dream there are three differences which distinguish the dream state from waking state experience. It is Kala Bheda, Desha Bheda and Sukshma Sthula Bheda. But it means you can travel 1,000 miles, 10,000 miles, 1,000,000 miles, maybe in a split second, because everything happens at the mental level in dream state. In waking state, when the same thing happens at physical level, 1,000 miles, it may take 1 day for you to travel, or several hours it may take by plane. But in waking state, it is an elaborate process where your mind is involved, and also your jnanendriyas and karmendriyas are involved. So where mind alone is involved, it is called sukshma state. Where mind and indriyas are involved, it is called sthula state. That is gross state. And again in dream state, there is the kala bheda. So you go to sleep during daytime, and when you dream, you may feel that you are in darkness. You are at night. You may go to sleep in one place, and then in dream you may experience you are maybe 10,000 miles away from there. So there is kala bheda, desha bheda, and sthula sukshma bheda. But at the same time, you find there is an inseparable connection between waking and dream state. That's because you cannot have a dream which is totally detached and distinct from your experiences. Whatever you experience in dream is nothing but a miniaturized form, maybe a subtle version, a sukshma version of what you experience in waking state. In waking state, we have many thoughts and ideas. Those thoughts and ideas are seen to be fulfilled in dream. So that is an important point to remember. There is similarity and there is also dissimilarity during waking state and dream state. And in waking state, for your waking state, the waking state is the only reality for you. In dream state, it is the only reality for you. So the jiva, or the awareness that experiences waking experience, is called Vishwa, and the same Vishwa, the same experiencer, the same seer called Drashta or Bhokta, the same experiencer in dream state is called Taijasa, because there is only that illumination, because everything happens at the mental level. Everything is projected, illumined at the mental level. In dream also, you eat food, you walk, you travel, you do the various things. But all these are mental projections. They are not physically real, they are mentally real, no doubt about it. And in deep sleep state, all these things get submerged in Moola Vidya. Mind becomes dysfunctional. Mind is no more active. Mind shuts down in deep sleep state called Sushupti state. But then in Sushupti also there is an experience. But that experience is only recollected when you come out of Sushupti state. And that recollection is a kind of, well, I had a wonderful, good, pleasant experience. So that pleasant experience, the Madhura Bhung, you find in this mantra, in this sloka. It is you experience, Ananda Bhuk. You experience something in a deep sense of relaxation, deep sense of contentment, a deep sense of freedom we experience in deep sleep. But that is not Advaitic experience. It is similar to Advaitic experience, but it is certainly not Advaitic experience. So there are people there is a view, it's a perverted view, which is not acceptable to either of the Vedanta Sampradayas, either Vivarana Prasthana or Bhamadi Prasthana or Vartika Prasthana. None of them will accept it. But there is a modern version of it, that whatever you experience in deep sleep is the same as Advaita Anubhuti, which is totally wrong, which Upanishad itself refutes. In the Chandogya Upanishad you find an animal, a tiger, a simhova, vyaghova, mashakova, all these different creatures will go to deep sleep, sushupti, but that sushupti doesn't have any impact on their life. We all have sushupti, but we don't become brahmajnanis just because we have sushupti. It never happens. So, but then in sushupti there is dvaita abhava, but in advaita anubhuti there is dvaita atitatva. In advaita anubhuti, in the aparoksha anubhuti, you transcend dvaita, you go beyond it. But in sushupti, you are not able to experience dvaita, not because dvaita does not exist, but because your faculty to connect with dvaita anubhuti is shut down, it becomes dysfunctional. Mind gets submerged in Mula Vidya. That's why the Andhakaranas are non-functional in Sushupti experience. That's why we feel that we don't feel the reality of Dvaita, but we don't transcend Dvaita Anubhuti. So these are three stages. Now there is the other state called Turiya. Turiya is called fourth. The word Turiya itself means Chaturtha. So Upanishad mantra is Chaturtham Manyate. Means it is only fourth. Fourth not because it comes after third, but because it is explained, it is mentioned in the context of Prathama, Dvitiya and Tritiya. So the word Chaturtha or Turiya is used, but it is Turiya not as separate from first, second and third, but the same Turiya is present in waking state. The same Turiya is present in dream state. The same Turiya is present in deep sleep also, because the same experiencer is present. That's why after coming out of deep sleep, we are able to recollect our feeling of total relaxation that we have in deep sleep. So this is the basic structure, and that Turiya is nothing but Atman, Brahman. So Mandukya Prakriya or Avasthatraya Prakriya is an intensely psychological approach to the analysis of Brahma Vidya. That's the structure. Now coming to the subject, coming to these two slokas. The slokas should be carefully studied, because once we study the sloka, then you'll be able to understand Bhashya more properly. So, okay. Om Prajnanam Supratanehi Sthira Chara Nikara Vyabhibir Vyapilogan Bhuktuam Bhogan Sthavishtan Punarabi Dishano Bhasidan Kamajanyan. So, Prajnanam Su. So, it is like the rays of sun. All the jivas are like the rays of the sun. And sun is the Atman, Brahman, and jivas are like the rays of the sun. Pratani. Now, this whole creation is pervaded by Prajnanam Shu. What it means? The mantra says Nasturiyaha. So Yat Tat Natosmi. Yat Tat Natosmi. I bow down, I prostrate, I show my obeisance to that Turiya. That is how it ends. What is that Turiya? That Turiya is Brahman, which pervades the whole universe by diffusion of the rays of knowledge. So that's the Brahman, it pervades the whole universe at the Sthula level. We are describing the Vishwa, Jiva, experiencing the external objects in waking state. Sthira, Chara, Nikara. Sthira means things which are stable. We don't move, like earth, trees, mountains. And Chara means that which is moving all the time, like human beings, animals, animal kingdom. And Nigara means Prapancha Samuha. So the whole universe consisting of moving and non-moving, the whole creation is pervaded by the rays of Brahman, that is Prajnanamshu. Vyabhibir Vyapya Lokan, it is pervading everywhere. Bhuktva Bhogan Sthavishtan, so it is a reference to Vishwa. Sthavishta means that means Sthulatama. Means Sthavishta is the superlative of Sthulatara. The grossest things during waking state, during Jagrata Avastha, the same Jiva experiences Pitva means having drunk. What it means? Connecting with, interacting with, experiencing these external things. Bhuktva Bhogan Sthavishtan. So during waking state as Vishwa, this Turiya, this Atman, this Brahman experiences all these things in this world at the gross level, Sthavishtan, Bhogan. And then Punarapi. Again, afterwards, in dream, Dishano Bhasidan Kamajanyan. Dishana here means Buddhi or Antakarana. The same Atman, the same Turiya, in dream state, it experiences the same things. Kamajanyan. That's very important, very interesting. You cannot have any dream experience which you have not prepared for in waking state. In waking state, you may have wanted to do certain things. You may have tried to avoid certain things. Both you experience in dream state. Not necessarily, but if the waking state experiences go very deep and register very strongly in our mental system, the chittam, then the vrittis, vasanas and samskaras will emerge in dream. Depending upon the power of registration, I mean the power with which those waking state experiences are deeply registered in the mental system, what happens, all these will be repeated. You will re-experience, you will relive through the same experiences in dream state. That's why Punarabi again in dream state, Dishanobhasidan, all these had happened not at the physical level, but Antakaranobhasida means it comes in the Buddhi, Mana, Chitta, Ahankara, the Antakaranas. Kamajanyan, then Pitva, Sarvan, Visheshan, Supiti. So what happens? In dream state, you experience all this, Sarvan, Visheshan. In dream state, there is Dvaita, there is subject, object, Drashta, Drishya, relationship and distinction. Plurality of experiences, Dvaita experiences. And all the problems and worries and anxieties you find in dream also. But we go through them not at a physical level, at a mental level. When something happens at the mental level, the time is a split second. In fact, time travels faster than, Manaso Javi or Atman is the only reality that travels faster than mind. Otherwise, mind is the fastest that you can conceive of. Atman is the only reality that travels faster than mind because it's everywhere. So, mind is very fast. And the moment the idea comes, immediately you experience it simultaneously. Now, what happens in Sushupti state? Pitva Sarvan Visheshan Swapiti Madhura Guk Mayaya Bhojayanno. In deep sleep, you experience all this Madhura Bhung. You go through all these experiences, but at the same time, that experience is not recognized at the time of experiencing. You become aware of your deep sleep experience of relaxation or restfulness only when you come out of deep sleep. In deep sleep itself, you are not aware of it. When you come out of it, you are aware of it. But in waking state, when you are experiencing, you are aware of it. In dream also, you become aware of it at the time of experiencing. But in deep sleep, you become aware of it, aware of the fact that you had a good sleep, you had a restful night, only when you come out of it. There is also an element of joy in it. Why element of joy? When you don't have Dvaita Anubhuti, Dvaita experience, you will experience a strange, unique kind of joy. It's called Ananda Book. So that's why there is a similarity in the nature of experience in Sushupti and Samadhi. The difference is the Ananda Anubhuti that you experience in Sushupti becomes obvious only when you come out of it, and it doesn't last long because again you are in waking state and you go through all these problems, so it is gone. But the experience that you enjoy, that Ananda Anubhuti you enjoy, you experience in Samadhi, it remains there all the time. It doesn't get cancelled, it doesn't get weakened when you come back to waking state and dream state. So, Madhura Bhug Mayaya Bhojayanno, Maya Sankhya Turiyam. Such an important point. Turiya is not, it's not really speaking forth. So, the Maya Sankhya, it is not real Sankhya. It is not a numerical form. It is only contextual, because it comes into context of the other three states of experiences. That's called Purna Pratyayanta. So, because that Turiya is present in all the other three states also. And the other three states are not distinct from Turiya. Turiya itself, the seer itself, the drashta itself, the real bhokta itself goes through all these experiences, but it is distinct and different from all the experiences. So suppose you have got you are the master of a house with three, you can move into any of the three rooms, and you can be outside also, because you are not limited to any of the three states. Like the Turiya is not limited to either waking, dream or deep sleep, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti stage. It transcends all. It is not a real state, it is the absolute reality itself. That's why it is Param, Amrutam, Ajam. So Brahma, it is that Brahman which is, these terms are very well known, all of you know. Yat Tat Natosmi. Shall we stop today for the time being? As a first session? Anything you want to ask? How do you find Suresh? Santosh? No, his name is Santosh, sorry. Santosh, is okay? Or shall we take another verse? Because this is the first session, I want to know your feedback.
Yes, we can take one more sloka.
Very good, okay. Now next one. Okay, now Yo Vishwatma Vitija Vishayan Prasibhogan Sthavishtan Paschat Anyan Sumadi Vibhavan Jyodisha Svena Sukshman Sarvan Etan Punarabhishanei Swatmani Sthavayitva Hitva sarvan viseshan vigada gunagana padu asau nasturiya. So this is the next one. Yo Vishwatma. This is also same idea is put in a more direct form, in a less complex metrical form here. Yo Vishwatma. The Vishwatma is the same Turiya, which is as Vishwa Vidhija Vishayan Prasya Bhogan Sthavishtan. In waking state, it goes through all these experiences. The same Atman, which actually the Turiya state, it enjoys all these external things. Then Paschancha Anyan Sumadi Vibhavan Jodisha Svena Sukshman. Then in dream state, after going beyond the waking state, in dream state, Sumadi Vibhavan. So in dream state again, as I mentioned, it is only mental projection. So it comes only in our buddhi or mind or antakarana. It is not physical. Jyodisha Svena Sukshman. And we experience this at the subtle level. Sarvane etan punarabhishane swatmani sthapaitva. And again at the prajna state, that is prajna is this jiva experiencer in sushupti state, deep sleep state, swatmani sthapaitva. All these get merged in one's own self. Hitva sarvan viseshan vigada guna padu asos nasturiyaha. So when at the transcendent Duriya state, it gets beyond all these gunas, all these pluralities, all the multiple experiences. Anyway, since we have time, we will begin the Bhashya proper. So you can take Agama Prakarana. We can take this first introductory part leading to the Bhashya proper. So if I got a text in front of you, you can look at it. You have time anyway. Okay, the text. Okay. Now this is the introduction where Bhashyakara explains the Prakarana Chadushtaya and Anubandha Chadushtaya of this text. Anubandha, what are you looking for? It's okay. So Anubandha Chadushtaya, Adhigari, Vishaya, Prayojana, etc. That will one after another we will come to that. First, Om iti edat aksharam idam sarvam tasya upavyakhyanam. Vedantartha Sara Sangraha Bhudam Prakarana Chatushtayam. So what is Prakarana? So you find there are 4 Prakaranas, 4 chapters in the Gaudapada Karika. Agama Prakarana, Vaidathya Prakarana, Advaita Prakarana and Alata Shanti Prakarana. So what is Prakarana? Prakarana is a particular category of books which is focused on certain very specialized subjects. In this context, Mandukya Karika is emphatic in its stress on pure Advaita. So you don't find any other auxiliary subjects or topics discussed in this text. It's purely Advaita logic. There is no description of different forms of sadhanas, different dhyanas, different upasanas as you find in the Mandukya, Brihadaranyaka and other Upanishads. In Upanishads or maybe even in the Prasthanatraya, for example, this Brahma Sutra, you find Bhashya. There are so many upasanas are mentioned, so many different types of spiritual practices are also mentioned. What happens to our jiva after death, there are long sutras actually in Brahma Sutra, Tadantaratu, Ramkhadi, Samparishuptaka, Prasna Nirupanabhya. You find all these long sutras in the Brahma Sutras, dealing with so many different things. What happened to our Atman, what happened to Jiva after we leave this body, all these are explained. And different upasanas are mentioned. In this Mandukya Karika, there is no such diversion to a number of other subjects. So that's why equal Shastra Ekadesha Sambandham Shastra Karyantare Sthidam Ahu Prakaranam Mama Granthavedo Vipaschitaha. So there's a definition of Prakarana. Shastra Ekadesha Sambandham. So it is not a complete text as such, but it focuses on one important aspect of Vedanta subject. Shastra Karyantare Sthidam Ahu Prakaranam Nama Granthavedo Vipaschitaha. Now, Om is mentioned here. That is the first word in the Bhashya itself is Om. That is the beginning. Om Ityetad Aksharam Brahma. That is the beginning of Mandukya Upanishad. So, Om has got different meaning. Rakshana, Gati, Kanti, Trupti, Avagama, Priti, Pravesha, Sravana, Swamitvam, Yachana, Kriya, Icha, Deepti, Vyapti, Alingana, Himsa, Dhanam, Bhogam, Buddhi. All these are different meanings given to Omkara, and Vedantins explain Omkara as embodying the whole of existence and reality. So why the Omkara is mentioned in course of time, the Bhashyara will make it clear. Om iti etad aksharam idam sarvam tasya upavyakyanam. We are now beginning the four prakaranas, Mandukya Karika, we are beginning. Bhashyakara says. So first there is a reference to the first mantra of Mandukya Upanishad. Om iti etad aksharam idam sarvam tasya upavyakyanam. This is the beginning of Upanishad. And it is called Vedantartha Sara Sangraha Bhutam. It is the essence of all Vedanta. The whole philosophy of Vedanta is contained here. Prakarana Chatushtayam, the four Prakaranas, Agama Prakarana, Vaidathya, Advaita, and Alada Shanti Prakaranas. Om iti etad aksharam ityadi arabhyate. Ata eva न पृथक संबंध अभिधेय प्रयोजनानि वक्तव्यानि यानि एव तु वेदान्ते संबंध अभिधेय प्रयोजनानि तानि एव हि भवितुमर्हन्ति तथापि प्रकरण व्याजिख्यासुना संक्षेपतो वक्तव्यानि इति मन्यन्ते व्याख्यातारः. So it is Vedantartha Sara Sangraha Bhudam, already mentioned here. Therefore, there is no need to mention any special Anubandha Chatushtaya for this text. Because Anubandha Chatushtaya, which is general to Vedanta itself, is applicable to this particular text combining four Chatushtaya, four Prakaranas. The Prakarana Chatushtaya. So this particular text, Gaudapada Karika, which is Prakarana Chatushtaya, which has got four Prakaranas, is Vedanta Artha Sara Sangraha Bhudam. It is the condensed form, the essence of Vedanta. So what is the Anubandha Chatushtaya of Vedanta? That is applicable to this book also. So let us say Adhikari, Sambandha, that is relationship between the text and the subject. Then Vishaya, the central theme, and Prayojana, the special purpose, that is moksha. So this, generally speaking, this is the Anubandha Chatushtaya for all Vedanta books, that is Adhikari, Sambandha, Vishaya and Prayojana. It's very clear. So, where is the need to mention a special Anubandha Chatushtaya for this book? So, Bhashyakara says, Ataeva na pruthak sambandha abhideya prayojanani vaktavyani. That means, sambandha abhideya prayojanani na pruthak vaktavyani. There is no need to mention Anubandha Chatushtaya, especially for this book, because Anubandha Chatushtaya generally applicable to Vedanta Shastram itself is applicable to you, applicable to this book. Yani eva tu Vedante sambandha abhideya prayojanani tani eva ihapi bhavidum arhanti. Whatever Anubandha Chatushtaya is applicable in Vedanta Shastras, Vedanta itself, that is applicable here also. Tathabi still prakarana vyadhikyasuna. Still somebody who wants to write a book on this, samshepado vaktavyam iti o vaktavyani iti, there are two Pada Vedas. It's still, by following the tradition, we have to briefly mention Anubandha Chatushtaya for this book also. Tatra prayojanavat sadhana abhivanjagatvena abhideya sambandham shastram parambaryena vishishta sambandha abhideya prayojanavat bhavati. If this language is a bit difficult, you can ask me questions during interaction, we have time. The tatra prayojanavat. Now the question arises, what is the prayojana here? The central argument is a book cannot really take you to prayojana directly. That's an important point. A book or Upanishad or Mandukya Karika or any such books cannot directly take you to moksha. But it can indirectly point out certain methods of practices which can in course of time lead you to moksha. So this is an important point in Vedanta. Shastram tu na jnana pravartakam kintu ajnana nivartakam. Shastram or Upanishad, Vedanta, these books cannot give you the supreme knowledge of Brahma Anubhuti. Jiva Brahma Aikyam, that is Anubhuti, cannot be the result of study of any books. But when you study books, you get to know, you come to know of certain methods and practices which will eventually take you to Vedanta Vichara, and that will take you to acquiring sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, and that will lead you to Sravana, Manana, Nidhyasana, and in course of time you will reach moksha. So that's why it is said Parambaryena. Parambaryena means not directly but indirectly, one after another, in succession. So that is the central argument of this particular sentence. This our Bhashyakara wants to tell you. Point number 1. Shastras, Moksha Shastras themselves cannot directly give you Advaita Anubhuti. But Parambaryena, indirectly, these Shastra studies, Upanishad studies, can slowly develop in your mind a desire to acquire sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, and then gradually will inspire you to practice Sravana, study of Upanishads, Manana, Nidhyasana, etc. and meditations as practices. So that is why the sadhana abhivanjagatvam, these books, Shastras, will illumine, will illustrate certain methods and practices, and that will certainly show you that Vedanta Vichara is the sadhanam, and that Vedanta Vichara, Sravana, Manana, Nidhyasana will in course of time, parambaryena, just like one leading to another. And gradually, indirectly, it will take you to prayojanam. Prayojanam is moksha. So that's why tatra prayojanavat sadhana vivanjagatvena abhideya sambandham shastram. So sadhana abhivanjagatvam is the real purpose of shastram. Shastram or moksha shastras will indicate certain practices and methods, certain sadhanani. When you study Upanishads, then you have a strong desire. Or even lockdown is there, all this, suddenly when we have a lot of time and we find, so suddenly the mind goes for higher ideas. So we turn to moksha shastra, Upanishads, whatever it is. And once we study this, you find then we will have a stronger desire to practice meditation, Sravana, Manana, Nidhyasana, and Vedanta Vichara, etc. So, in that respect, indirectly, Shastram will create a strong desire to plunge into spiritual practices, and that's why it is called Sadhana Vivanchakatvam. Parambaryena, let's say Parambaryena is very important here. Shastra cannot directly take you to Atmavidya, moksha, but Parambaryena, one after another, one leading to another, can take you to moksha shastra, to moksha or Brahmavidya. Vishishta sambandha videya prayojanavat bhavati. Therefore, what happens, indirectly they can take you to moksha or mukti. So we can do Shanti mantra now. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.